everyone. Hey everyone. This is another episode 3 of For the Record. I have a good friend, special guest, Bridgette Angelique. Thank you for coming by. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. All
Yeah,
on the other side of the world.
I
Like,
know.
hello.
It's like super early over here. It's like and it's 5 o'clock over there, I think.
Yeah, sun going down. Storm's about to happen.
Mhm.
Sandstorm, something
Yeah.
crazy.
All
Yeah.
right, well, let's just get right into it. What made you fall in love with music?
Music. I mean, music is a language. And of course, as soon as, even from when we're in the womb, when we're in the belly, we're hearing a whole bunch of different sounds happening. And of course, when we come out and we're hearing from all around all these different sounds that are happening, it takes on a form of communication to us. And so with me, I feel like I was very drawn to just sound in general. I paid a little bit more attention to different sounds that would go on. I would love to listen. And so where growing up that I had my dad that was into Motown, R&B, soul music, like always putting on the on the radio and the
Yeah.
oh my gosh, cassette tapes,
Hmm. I remember
CDs,
those.
CDs, all these, and I mean even records. Shoot, but listening to a lot of that, the R&B soul sounds that influenced me a lot, especially going along with my style and what I like to listen to and things like that. But then of course growing up you got your pop music, or whether it's TV on the radio, and we're hearing all different sounds. And then I have like my Latin background,
Mhm.
and even with getting into dance, that I got to learn in these different styles and really experience all these different genres of music.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then even going along with in school, taking music classes or taking this, getting classically trained,
Yeah.
you're being exposed to all different types of music. And for some reason, I just always felt that I naturally gravitated towards music, and I was able to take a very natural knack to it in the way that I would. Got alarms going on. Music. That's a form of
It's
music.
a form of music.
Sounds. So yes, very interesting. All different types of music and sounds that are out there.
I mean that's crazy because like you mentioned, like you have a Latin background, and so like people that has like an extensive Latin background, like there's so much music from that culture. You know what I mean? So you have such a big background. So I mean that I know you told being exposed at such a young age growing up to like you got Motown, you got pop, you got Latin music, and that's just a lot going on there. So
That's
that's
right.
yeah.
Whole party.
Yeah.
Whole
um,
party of music.
yeah. So like when your debut album came out, Plan B, which that like that's actually how I discovered you on MySpace in '07. Yeah. I was in high school. I was like,
Throwback.
yeah, it's a throwback.
Mhm.
So like, that was a great album that made me a fan. So like songs like Supermodel, Goodbye for Now, and Beauties of Life were like some of my favorites. But from one writer to another, how did you or how do you approach songwriting?
And definitely props and respects to you, because oh my goodness, like just seeing your journey and everything, what you've gone through with music, I think is so beautiful. And
Thank you.
I love that we were able to kind of carry our journeys together and different
Yeah.
things like that. But yeah, you're an amazing artist and
Thank
writer.
you.
Respect to you.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, so I guess going along with my process, normally, I would say two ways. There's two ways normally that I go about it. whether there is a certain message or a certain line, metaphor, something like that, that is just like kind of ringing in my head, and I or it just keeps coming up in different ways. And I write it down, or I'll do like a little voice memo or something. I'm like, I got to do something with this because there's a reason why it's coming up. And then seeing from there what comes about in the different lyrics I come up with.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way. The other way I would say is, like, say if I have instrumentals or I get beats from a producer and I'm just listening to the music, I get really raptured into the all the musical sounds, again with the music, that I feel like you can almost take a message out of this music. You
Yeah.
start to feel certain things, certain words pop up, and you kind of just take it from there and see where it goes. And I think it's almost like a puzzle. I feel
Mm-hmm.
it's or even like this mystery that you feel like it's underneath this music and it's waiting to be taken out. And I feel like that's always a fun little process to find these lyrics that are in the music.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because the thing about songwriting is whatever you write, it always ends up, being relatable to the listeners. And, that's what Supermodel was like for me. you know, um, yeah,
I,
it was really,
I have a funny story with that.
yeah, what was the story behind that song?
It was well, like, so for me, with my journey and getting into with the music industry and what I was seeing and experiencing,
Mm,
was that here it was, I always felt that it was always about more of my persona, my image, what I look like, instead of
mm,
more of my talent.
yeah.
And that was always so hard for me,
Mm,
especially being like, I grew up thick. Like, I was never
yeah.
this
Same.
I was never this skinny toothpick. I always had me on me, but a lot of the times that was not acceptable. So it's like, oh, because you don't look like this, then we're not going to take you for this opportunity. This,
Yeah.
and I'm my but my I could sing, I have talent, like, why is this not being taken into account? So yeah, that used to bother me for sure. And I remember that I bought this purse
Mm,
that I loved that had a little saying on it, and it said, "Let me be."
mm,
And even had like the letter B instead of the word BE.
yeah. Yeah.
So for me, that B stuck out, like B for Bridget. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's me. Let me be.
Yeah.
And so here it was, this just stuck in my head. I'm like, yeah, let me be. And then um, at the time, I was working with this manager that was also working with production company and things like that. And he's like, see about this B, if you like it, if you would write to it.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing it, I was just like, oh, like when I
That was
first
a
heard,
fire beat.
oh my goodness, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And then I just remember I had these lyrics of the Let Me Be that I had started writing, but then once I was saying these words along with that beat,
Mm,
then it was just flowing out. And I was like, yeah, oh, let me be. No, I'm not a supermodel. No, I don't
mhm.
have power. And I just like, I went in. And then actually that went on to be like, yeah, one of my most successful songs. That was 100% me, I felt.
Yeah, I mean, I could, and what's crazy is like the whole time, like even up until you told me that, I thought it was like about being in a relationship, because being in a relationship and a guy is comparing you to women he sees on TV. So I'm thinking as a teenager, like, oh, this is what this song is about. Like I can relate to this. So it's crazy how like, you know, a song you write is about this, but listeners interpret it a different way. That's a really cool thing about music, I think.
So yeah, it's almost like, so my metaphor is like, unfortunately with the music industry, it was like an abusive relationship kind of thing.
Yeah, it is, you know, it's crazy. Like it's not about talent anymore, or really never. I don't really think it never was. It was always about looks and, you know, marketing, you know, but
Mhm.
that's my opinion. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
mainstream music industry is, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it worked out that, of course, where I was able to, you know, I'm like, it's also relatable in that sense. It's, going along with a relationship and being able to accept yourself and have that self-love. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
important. That's important. What was the meaning behind the album Plan B?
Plan B, which I remember a lot of people were like, that's the name of a morning after pill. I'm like, yeah, I had already picked it, and it just so happened that yes, this is also the name. Which I
Word.
mean, I mean, I g- if if I have to say, like, where I felt, being into having a music career, that I always felt that actually I'm like, I can't have kids at this time because I really need to focus, and I want to be able to really, put
Mhm.
my focus and energy on the music. And I feel if I stray away from that, yeah, then I wouldn't give it my all. So, but I think it is beautiful that now there are so many mothers that are in the music industry that are thriving, and they're really showing that yes, you can be a mother and and really give this child the nurturing that it needs,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Mhm.
But my mind frame in that time around was like, it's like one or the other, that's it. That was my limited thinking. But
Right.
yeah, plan B, well, I'll talk about my plan A. Plan
Mhm.
A was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get signed by a major label.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I feel like I had this ego thing about me going on, that I was like, yeah, I know I can sing. I know I have talent. Like, I'm gonna get signed. And I was meeting with these certain major labels, and it was just always like something that it just was not working out. I'm like,
Mhm.
so it made me take a step back, and I was like, okay, what is this showing me? So I had to take a little redirection. And then actually I'm glad it worked out this way, because it put things into my hands, where then I was like, okay, if they're not gonna take me on and develop me for this creating music, I'm gonna take it upon myself, and I'm gonna create this project, this album or whatever, and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Mhm.
And now, even though I didn't, go on to be this superstar or whatever,
Yeah.
or have all this huge success from it, but it opened a lot of doors for me, and it took me to places that I wouldn't have ever expected. And I was actually just so proud of myself in the fact that I finally just took it upon myself to say, you know what? I can do this. I can do this on my own, and create a project, see what happens. And that was
Absolutely.
rewarding in itself. And I'm sure when creating your own music and putting it out there, the how rewarding it is, just being able to say, like, I did this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and sometimes like rejection is just God's blessing. We don't see it right then and there, but like later on,
Mhm.
we look back and be like, oh, I'm glad those doors were closed, because had it not been for that, then I wouldn't be where I am today. It's crazy how that works out.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I'm very grateful, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like you're killing it though. Like, and that's what leads me to the next question is like you're from New York, which I wanted to move there, but it didn't work out. Like being from New York, like what made you decide to leave and go all the way to Dubai? And what was the reaction from your family and friends? Because I know that would have been like
Yeah.
Dubai. What? Yeah, what was that like?
So So yeah, and I mean in New York, you really have to hustle. You
Yeah.
really gotta make your money.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, for me, where I wasn't doing music full time,
Mhm.
I had a full-time day job.
Yeah.
And here it was, trying to do the whole 9 to 5,
Mhm.
and then in the evenings or weekends try to work on music or do little things. It's tiring.
Yeah.
And yeah, and during COVID, it just so happened that, being able to start working remote, but it was during a time like I was already coming out of a deep depression. I had
Mhm.
gone through such um a time where it was basically, this is after my working on my third project.
Yeah.
My third project never came out
Mhm.
because there was so many things that just came out happening, a series of unfortunate events
Yeah.
that it's like, okay, I have to take it as it's just not going to happen at this time.
Mhm.
And yeah, it really took a toll on me, and I just was feeling so like worthless in that time, because I
Mhm.
was so attached. I was so attached to this project, like, this is me, this is what I know, this I'm my music, and I couldn't separate myself from that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so during that time, that was when I finally was like, whoa, this can't be the end. And that's when I started getting into therapy and the whole self-discovery. And during this journey where I was still, working this job and whatnot, that I ended up linking with a friend that where she was developing in her own method of therapy, and this whole transformative healing process, and that I was then opening my mind to, that I was like, oh, interesting.
Mhm.
As I was getting to learn about this, it just so happened that's when she was in New York. And during that time, I was then really getting into my healing. And again, just with my whole self discovery and growth in that aspect, that it just led me to then ended up taking a job with her, which ended up bringing me to Dubai, which
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, yeah, it totally like blew my mind that yeah, I never in a million years thought that I would end up here. But it just so happened that I did vacation out here once, and I fell in love
Mhm.
because it just opened my mind up to so many different possibilities. I just felt like where I was very I hate to
Wasn't a good
no,
fit.
it's yeah, yeah, it's not to put any like hate or any shade on where I came from, New York or Long Island, but where, yeah, it was starting to feel very closed-minded, pessimistic, and I just felt like I wasn't growing there.
Mhm.
And I was like, I need to change things up. I need to be in a different environment. And when I came here to vacation, I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
so many amazing things that I was like, I don't know, I got to find a way to like come out here. And it just so happened, like, how it always just blows my mind. But anyways, I came here, and I was starting to work in this job while starting to explore the music scene out here. And I
Mhm.
was like, maybe I can start back getting into music again and see what happens and things like that.
Was
So,
this was this during the pandemic when
yeah.
But and that's crazy because like the pandemic, like it changed a lot of us, a lot of like, I mean, the world stopped. So we had plenty of time to think and reflect on what we wanted to do and how we wanted to go forward. So a lot of life-changing things occurred like with all of us during the pandemic. So I mean, it was a, I don't want to say the pandemic was a blessing because it wasn't, but in a sense where it gave us time, it gave the world time to stop and reflect on what they wanted to do next, how they wanted
Exactly.
to change the direction they're going to. I mean, that was a blessing in that sense, you know what I mean? So
Exactly. And
yeah.
that's exactly how I saw it. Then that's when it like all hit me. Like, what is it that I really want to do? Or what is it that I want to accomplish? Or,
Yeah.
what would make me happy right now? It was
Right.
all these things that I never used to think about because I always felt like I was, I was a people pleaser. I felt, I
Mm,
always felt like, kind of like living for others, especially with like what with the music industry. I'm like, what do they want? What do they want me to do? Like, I couldn't see it as like, okay, I'm gonna do this and they're gonna like it. I couldn't
yeah.
fortunately get into that mindset. And
Mm,
it wasn't until then, with all of this happening, that I
mm.
was like, wait a second, wait a second. And yeah, that's when my eyes started opening up. And I really thank Dubai and coming out here. That's where, so as soon as they opened up, as soon as, because Dubai was shut down for a while, but yeah, where once it opened up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. I quit my other job, and I was like, okay. And it's very diverse here. It's
Yeah.
very diverse here. There's so many different styles of music. It's very eclectic, and just being exposed to all these different sounds, all these people from all over the world, just seeing how they function and operate, has even that in itself, I'm like, oh, interesting. I'm learning from everyone. I'm learning from all walks of life, kind of thing. That's how I see it. So
Yeah. I mean, and what's the regular daily life living in Dubai as a person, just regular, and then as a singer? I mean, you kind of told like you kind of told me what the music scene is like. It's very rich. But like what's the daily life like living over there? Because it's like a whole different world, I'm sure.
I mean, it's not so much different from what I was experiencing in New York. Like, as far as like, if you have like an office job, it's
Yeah.
you're actually, well, it did change while it was out here. It used to be Sunday through Friday. No, Sunday through Thursday. That
Mhm.
was like the work week. But now it changed to go with, most of the world, for so the work week, it's normally Monday through Friday.
Mhm.
And then, but I mean, there's also a lot of people that work even 6-day weeks,
Mm.
with musicians and a lot of performers. Like, there's several different booking agencies that each of us work with, in which there are so many different type of venues, different type of shows going on. So whether it's like they have these dinner theaters where, it could be that's the emphasis is on like a jazz theme, or then you have something like there may be um like heavy metal going on, and it's like to fit a theme, or there's country. Like, there's so many different styles or themes that these different companies may look for, or even the clients, what they look for. So it can really really vary, and that's what I do like about here. There's so much
Yeah.
variety. You're not just like tied down to like, I have to just do these restaurant gigs and just be background music or something like that. No,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
so many different little opportunities, and that's what I'm just starting to see. So
Mm.
now, being that I was working another full-time daytime job while doing music and vocal coaching, things like that, then I'm now getting into this flexible freelancer life, and it's been rather interesting. So, but one thing I will say is that, compared to what I experienced in New York, convenience here is insane. You
Yeah.
can get like there's an app for everything. You can get anything delivered to you like within minutes, and it's crazy. So everything happens rather fast, which I do like. But yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. That's good to have like so much diversity at the, you know, at the palm of your hands, because that was always my problem, like trying to find a city to move to. You know, I thought I wanted to move to Nashville, but it's like I don't do country, so I can't move there. You know, when I took New York off the table, you know, I was thinking about moving to Atlanta, but Atlanta is too a little too ratchet for me, so I'm not gonna move there. It
I
can't
love
be
Atlanta.
it can't
That
be
was
small.
actually Atlanta was on my list. Atlanta was on my list.
Yeah, yeah. It's so like having that diversity in Dubai, like you can do country here and one day you can do jazz over there, like rock metal over there. So that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. Although I mean, I'm not doing all those,
Yeah,
but yeah, right now, like I would like to do more R&B pop, and so that's what I'm kind of going more towards the direction of,
yeah,
and where I've been able to explore with different bands and different combinations and getting creative.
yeah.
But yeah, right now, kind of doing my R&B pop thing.
That's cool. But it's good to know you have those options there. So whenever you want to do these different genres, you know, you can just, you know, go in that direction for that gig or whatever. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, sure. It's awesome.
Yeah.
For doing that.
Do you have any musical projects that you might be working on, solo or with anyone or yeah.
So so right now I'm just starting to get back into creating new music because like I took a long break and hiatus once after that third project went so sour
Yeah.
that it really left a bad taste in my mouth.
Mhm.
But I was like, you know what, this it doesn't have to be the end right now. It's just right now I just have been seeing that this has been a good time for me to really come into my own, and how we were talking about before, like what is it that I really want to, and really I wanted to be able to be like with the music, like I don't want it to just be like just singing any random lyrics. Like I want to be able to really like feel it, and I want the listener to be able to feel it and just embody it all. I want it to be authentic.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
authentic, and be able to now come from the perspective of me, like, okay, I've done some healing, I've now see things in a different perspective, and now I can be a little bit more mindful as far as the music that I'm creating and what I'm spreading out to the world. Like I don't want to just a lot of this main I don't want to like put down any music because it's we all have our different tastes or whatever, but I don't want it to be just like sexually explicit lyrics or
Right. Yeah.
something talking about things that I don't care about, or like drinking or all these things that
Yeah.
I want to promote or push forward, you know. So that's go for when I go to create my new music. This is what I definitely want to keep in mind. But until then, at least being able to, with going along with the vocal coaching
Mhm.
and furthermore exploring the different ways of how you can use your voice and music to feel better,
Mhm.
is slowly what I'm trying to show others, and where I'm looking to do. I did some little workshops here and there,
Mhm.
but I do want to be able to do this more, have people be able to really express themselves vocally, and just see what happens. If
Yeah.
it means that where for one person can like unlock their voice, like that for me is so rewarding. And I know you as a vocal coach, you see how rewarding it is when people go through seeing what their voice is capable of doing once they're just giving this guidance and different things like that. So I think it's a beautiful thing.
It is like so about limitless voice. How did that come about? Like when was that? Like when did you start that? Was that something recent that you just started with your vocal coaching, or like how did that come about?
Like I was starting to get requests of people
Mhm.
wanting to take lessons from me, and I was just like, at first 2 years ago I was like, I don't know. And then I just kept on getting these requests. I was like, I have to go with the calling. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, it's there. It's something that, I feel like I can do and I'm capable of doing. And why not be able to take on the approach of this holistic approach of being able to learn techniques to, not only to sing better but to feel better as well. That's
Mhm.
a whole body experience, and we can actually use the power of our voices and music to help us in all aspects of life,
Yeah.
not just to get up on stage. But you see, when you're able to really express yourself, how it can come out in different ways and different forms, whether you're communicating with someone, or there's even if for someone that is in that works a daytime job, then things like that, that they're able to express themselves because they're getting this creative outlet and different things. I think is just a interesting approach. I feel like, where at least with me, that growing up when I was taught music and with the singing, there wasn't the mental aspect of it. There wasn't the mindset that was really taught. It was just the techniques and different things like that. I wish there was a lot of things, had I known, where I wasn't talking myself out of thinking like, oh, I'm not going to be able I can't sing like that. I can't, or I didn't know that there needs to be a whole mindset on top of be doing these exercises and things like that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's what I would like to be able to share.
Absolutely. Because I created like these like affirmations for like my students. So like whenever before we start a lesson, I have them saying, my voice is meaningful, my voice is beautiful, or I'm capable of doing this. So just to get that mindset going, because sometimes, like you said, like, I know I can compare myself to other singers, and so that can be a problem. So I try to reiterate that to myself, but also to my students more so. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Just our words, how we don't even realize how much it affects us. Especially you say things like over and over. That's why even more so now I've been more mindful as far as like the songs that I'm singing, because you sing it so many times, you start to believe it. And
Yeah.
and that's definitely what I noticed, or even going along with songs that I wrote in the past, how
Mhm.
it ended up happening. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So I was like, I really need to be careful, like as far as, what I'm thinking, what I am saying, and then having others repeat. So I'm like, okay, something I need to be mindful about.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you said, having those affirmations as you sing, and when you feel it,
Mhm. It
that
hits
takes
different.
that's it's transformative in itself, for sure.
Yeah, words are powerful. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite music venue that you've ever performed at?
Definitely New Year's. New Year's was amazing. Oh my goodness. That for me was my favorite, being that it's like, one, it's New Year's Eve. The
Mhm.
energy already of the people is going to be excitement. And here it was that I got to perform. So this was one of the bands I had the honors of working with. It was an all-girl band,
Mhm.
Doll's House DXB. And so I was lead singer for that band, and we had gotten this gig. And the venue is City Walk,
Mhm.
Dubai. And City Walk is one of the main it's a tourist destination spot or a big, huge shopping, dining,
Mhm.
family experience type of place to go to. So there was tons of people, huge stage, big digital screens, all these different colorful different lights going on. And then when you were able to look to the left, it was a clear sight of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world.
Oh,
To see
okay.
that on New Year's Eve and then see the fireworks, holy, like I was like, this is nuts. It felt like a dream. It felt very surreal. So I was like, wow, this is the tallest building in the world. I'm seeing the fireworks. I am the one doing the countdown of New Year's Eve. This is nuts. So that was like a huge moment for me. And that was such a blast. Though the people, but that for me, the people were just like on another
All
level.
that,
I felt
yeah.
I felt like a superstar that night. I was like, I'm just a local act, but okay, I'll take it.
No, that was really cool. Like I saw that, I was like, dang, like that's major to perform at such a big venue, seeing like the tallest building in the world with the fireworks, having all these people. It's just
Oh,
like it's a lot to take in.
it was. I was just like, I had to catch myself a couple of times. I was like, whoa, wow. Loved it.
Yeah. How do you prepare your vocal cords before performing? Do you have like any type of ritual or any type of yeah, do you have like any type of ritual? Like what do you do to perform to prepare your vocal cords?
Well, as far as at least if we're just talking the day of,
Hmm.
I really make sure that I don't have anything really scheduled. I like to be as relaxed as possible
Hmm.
and be on vocal rest.
Same.
uh, yeah, I don't like being bothered or being or running around or whatever. So yeah, I do my best to really keep my calm, keep my cool. I like to meditate. It keeps me in a peaceful mindset, and I drink lots of water. But
Mhm.
I always stay hydrated.
Come on.
and, and I love my teas. I
Mhm.
do. I like the ginger, honey, mint. Yeah, ginger, honey, mint. I sometimes with the lemon, but the lemon is like part of my teeth.
Yeah.
But I do like to drink that. Also, throat coat. You
Mhm.
know about throat coat?
Yeah, I do.
Throat coat. So either one of those, really good. And then, yes, when it starts getting time, then I start doing, depending on also, I feel what the show will entail or the type of gig, I will tailor the certain vocal exercises that
Mhm.
I will do. But for sure, like my main go-tos, breathing, I like my lip trills.
Mhm.
Yeah, doing my scales and what else? The affirmations with the singing for sure really helps. And really activating the solar plexus. There's especially certain times where if I'm feeling nervous, that solar activating that solar plexus area. I always found it funny in chorus. We used to do the exercise of, hey man, we
Oh,
go,
I think I
hey,
remember
hey,
this.
hey, hey man. But I was like, whoo, activating that, it does. It makes you feel powerful. So I've learned like different voice exercises going along with that. And
Mhm.
then just implementing that. And I just noticed that it would give me this sense of power and ease my nerves a little bit. And yeah,
Yeah.
get up and I got this.
Get up on stage and rock out.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. What do you want to be
So
remembered at? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, 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 you didn't cut me off. You didn't cut me off.
Okay. I was gonna say, what do you want to be remembered as, like artistically speaking, musically speaking?
First and foremost, me. It
Yeah.
may be very cliche, but first and foremost, that, when you hear any of my music, that you just know, like, oh, that's Bridgette. And I mean, you will hear from, or may have heard with the different musical projects I've done, so all over the place.
Mhm.
And I'm not scared to admit, as far as like, I don't see it as like I'm mixed up or whatever. I think it's all part of the evolution that I've gone through these different phases where, so yeah, where starting off R&B pop, but then wanting to explore. I did some reggaeton. I explored into more hip hop and doing these boom pop type of beats, like really New York, and get into this grittier side. And then, yeah, then wanting to explore pop and K-pop and different styles. I'm like, why not? And I love the fact that I don't have to be tied down to a certain genre or a certain sound. And I feel like so had I been with a major label, for sure, that it's like they want you to go a certain path
You
and you
do.
have to stick to what's the formula and things like that. And so for me, it's been a very explorative, having fun, seeing what feels good to me, what would
Mhm.
make me happy, and then I am then spreading it off into the world. But
Yeah.
slowly but surely, I will be able to start spreading again. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm just taking my time and just going with flow, what feels right. I don't want to force it. That's been like what I in the past for me. I noticed that's when things go a little uh sideways.
Mhm.
So if I am, staying true to myself, honoring what feels good to me and what I want to do, then
Mhm.
I know that this is the time, this is what I'm going to do, and go into that direction.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like your journey, like, you have a whole album, maybe two, a whole album of what you could talk about, write about, sing about, just given like the where you were in New York at the time, transitioning from New York to Dubai, and like even going further back, with your first album wanting to get signed by a label, and from where you were back then to now, like that's the whole album. Maybe an album and two EPs, maybe, I don't know, but like you have a lot to write about. And so I'm excited for whenever that time comes. Like I said, like you don't want to force anything because, like you said, whenever you force things, like that's when it typically doesn't work out in the way that you would hope it would. You know what I mean? So whenever that time comes, like I'm looking forward to the album or the EP coming out because I know you have a lot to talk about.
I know, I'm like, where do I begin?
Yeah.
So we'll see. I would like to, but like first and foremost, if with the music, that yes, where it could be passed on as to actually help with the with listening. That
Yeah.
it's not going to be. I don't want it to be like. Actually, I think where you had talked about it actually, in one of I remember it was like in one of your stories that you said like when someone just like sings about something really negative, but it doesn't end with almost like a solution, and you're just kind of like, what do I do?
Oh, yeah.
And then you're just left with these feelings, these unresolved feelings in a sense, and that it's good to have this sense of hope
Mhm.
in the music, or being able to help that listener get through to the next stage, but not just leave them hanging. I feel
Yeah.
I don't like leaving the listener hanging like that.
Yeah, no, it has to have some type of resolve to it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it's for me, I would like to have that.
Yeah, and I think you will. Like, with whenever you release it, whether it's next year or 2 years from now or whenever, I know that it's going to touch a lot of people. And I know like I'm gonna relate to it as I related to, songs like Supermodel. Um, so and other people are gonna relate to it as well. So whenever that happens, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I just love your growth, like from like when I first discovered you in '07, and on the family computer. And so from back then to now, just watching you grow, it's just tremendous. It's just like leaps and bounds. When I found out you moved to Dubai, I'm like, what? Because you don't hear that often. And, I mean, it's just crazy. Like what you did, what most people probably wouldn't be willing to do. And in order to be, my husband says this all the time, like in order to be successful, you have to be willing to do what other people aren't willing to do. And that's what you did by taking that leap of faith, leaving New York. Because a lot of people, like myself, who's not from New York, who will want to move to New York. But you
Yeah,
left.
everyone thought I was crazy. They're
Yeah,
like, "But you're
sure.
in New York." I'm like, it's not what it's all cracked up to be.
Yeah, it's not.
Everything
No.
that it wasn't. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, you took that leap of faith by leaving NY, going to go to Dubai, not knowing what was over there, but you knew it had to be better than, where you were at that time mentally.
yeah,
Yeah.
I felt it here, and I think that's been what's been most important in showing me.
Mhm.
Gotta go by that gut feeling.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? Go with it.
Yeah.
And my feelings brought me here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
Been great.
yeah, it's been a journey for sure, but I will link all of do you have, I mean, you have Instagram, obviously. Do you have any other forms of social media that people might know about or might want to check out?
To be honest, I would rather just keep it Instagram.
Instagram,
I
okay.
like there's like so many social media outlets that but now I need to definitely see about Patreon. I know this has been like it's growing. It's growing for sure. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
me too. Yeah. Well, I'll link your Instagram in the description box below. But everyone, thank you for checking out this episode 3 of For the Record. Thank you, Bridgette, for stopping by. It's always good to catch up with you. And yeah, so I'll talk to y'all later.